On Tuesday, an effort to hold President Donald Trump accountable for his unilateral unconstitutional strikes against Iran that had threatened to start and to get us involved in a war in the region failed. Representative Al Green had filed an impeachment inquiry into the administration's attacks on the three Iranian nuclear facilities. Despite the fact that our own intelligence agencies, I know, they actually had intelligence this time, right? But they didn't have any evidence that Iran was working on a nuclear weapon. Okay, so now that said, nuclear weapon. Numerous Democrats, as well as Representative Thomas Massie, a Republican, railed against those unconstitutional attacks because, well, they didn't get congressional approval and could have involved us into a war in the Middle East. So, no, not a good thing. That said, when it came time to try to hold Donald Trump accountable for this, they decided, you know what? No, we're not. We're not. That's right. The majority of congressional Democrats showed to the world that they are not at all interested in fighting against fascism. Shocker. As such, of course, the impeachment inquiry vote was defeated. You had 128 Democrats joining with all the House Republicans in voting it down. Now, I'm not saying that had they voted with Green in order to hold Trump accountable, that this would have happened. No, but it is kind of a principle thing. Okay, you cannot claim to be against Donald Trump. You cannot call him a fascist, a king, a dictator, without also trying to do everything in your power to defeat him. Can't do it. Can't do it. And I'm going to read you off the list of every Democrat, 128 of these bastards, that voted to not hold Trump accountable. Okay, so let's do that. Start with Pete Aguilar, okay, of California, Gabe Amo of Rhode Island, Jake Auchincloss of Massachusetts, Wesley Bell of Missouri, Amy Barra of California, Don Beyer of Virginia, Sanford Bishop of Georgia, Julia Brownlee of California, Nikki Budzinski of Illinois, Janelle Bynum of Oregon, Salud Carbajal of California, Andre Carson of Indiana, Ed Case of Hawaii, Sean Casson of Illinois, Kathy Castor of Florida, Sheila Sherfilis McCormick of Florida, Catherine Clark of Massachusetts, Emmanuel Cleaver of Missouri, Jim Clyburn, of course, South Carolina, Herb Conaway of New Jersey, Lou Coria of California, Jim Costa of California, Joe Courtney of Connecticut, Angie Craig of Minnesota, Jason Crow of Colorado, Henry Cuellar, of course, of Texas, Sharice Davids of Kansas, Don Davis of North Carolina, Madeline Dean of Pennsylvania, Rosa DeLauro of Connecticut, Susan Del Bene of Washington, Chris DeLuzio of Pennsylvania, Debbie Dingell of Michigan, Sarah Elfreth of Maryland, Cleo Fields of Louisiana, Shomari Figures of Alabama, Lizzie Fletcher of Texas, Bill Foster of Illinois, Lois Frankel of Florida, Laura Gillen of New York, Jared Golden of Maine, Dan Goldman of New York, Vincente Gonzalez of Texas, Maggie Goodlander, New Hampshire, Josh Gottheimer, of course, New Jersey, Adam Gray of California, Josh Harder of California, Jim Himes of Connecticut, Stephen Horsford of Nevada, Chrissy Houlihan of Pennsylvania, Steny Hoyer of Maryland, Val Hoyle of Oregon, Hakeem Jeffries of New York, Julie Johnson of Texas, Marcy Kaptur of Ohio, Bill Keating, Massachusetts, Timothy Kennedy of New York, Ro Khanna, California. Seriously, Ro Khanna. What the hell, man? Greg Landsman of Ohio, Rick Larson of Washington, John Larson of Connecticut, George Latimer of New York, Susie Lee of Nevada, Michael Levin of California, Sam Liccardo of California, Ted Lieu of California, Zoe Lofgren of California, Stephen Lynch of Massachusetts, Seth Magaziner of Rhode Island, John Mannion of New York, Lucy McBath, Georgia, Sarah McBride, seriously, Sarah McBride of Delaware, April McLean Delaney of Maryland, Jennifer McClellan of Virginia, Betty McCollum of Minnesota, Kristen McDonald Rivet of Michigan, Morgan McGarvey of Kentucky, Gregory Meeks of New York, Grace Meng of New York, Kwesi Mfume of Maryland, Joe Morrell of New York, Kelly Morrison, Minnesota, Jared Moskowitz of Florida, Seth Moulton of Massachusetts, Frank Mervyn of Indiana, Richard Neal, Massachusetts, Joe Neguse, Colorado, Johnny Olszewski, Maryland, Frank Pallone of New Jersey, Jimmy Panetta of California, Chris Pappas of New Hampshire, Nancy Pelosi, California, of course. I mean, so many of these people. Marie Glusenkamp Perez of Washington, Scott Peters, almost done though. Brittany Peterson of Colorado, Nellie Powell of New Jersey, Mike Quigley of Illinois, Jamie Raskin, which is a surprise to me actually to see this on this list. Maryland, Josh Riley of New York, Deborah Ross of North Carolina, Pat Ryan, New York, Andrea Salinas of Oregon, Mary Gay Scanlon of Pennsylvania, Brad Schneider of Illinois, Hillary Scholten of Michigan, Kim Schreier of Washington, Bobby Scott of Virginia, Terry Sewell of Alabama, Adam Smith of Washington, Eric Sorensen of Illinois, Darren Soto of Florida, Greg Stanton, Arizona, Haley Stevens, Michigan, Marilyn Strickland, Washington, Suhas Subramaniam of Virginia, Tom Swazi of New York, Emily Sykes, Ohio, Paul Tonko of New York, Richie Torres of New York, big surprise there, Lori Trahan of Massachusetts, Derek Tran of California, Lauren Underwood of Illinois, Juan Vargas of California, Gabe Vasquez of New Mexico, Mark Veazey of Texas, Eugene Vidman of Virginia, Debbie Wasserman Schultz of Florida, George Whitesides of California. Every single one of those House Democrats that I just named and shamed, should have to answer as to why they decided not to fight against Donald Trump's unconstitutional unilateral strike on Iran. Maybe they have a good reason, or maybe they don't. I don't know. But I demand accountability, and you should too. Now, Al Green, of course, led the way to try to get some accountability, supported by progressives, Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and others in the House. Notice that pretty much nobody on the squad there is in that list of people who voted against it. Okay, so they were there. In fact, in explaining her support, AOC wrote this, quote, of Trump, he has impulsively risked launching a war that may ensnare us for generations. It is absolutely and clearly grounds for impeachment. Do you know how Trump responded? Oh, you're not going to be surprised. He called her stupid. Yeah. So yeah, that's President of the United States calling a Democratic Congresswoman stupid. Quote, stupid AOC. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, one of the dumbest people in Congress, is now calling for my impeachment. This motherfucker, right? Calling somebody stupid? You gotta be kidding me. No. And he added, Alexandria should go back home to Queens, where I was also brought up, and straighten out her filthy, disgusting, crime-ridden streets in the district she represents, and which she never goes to anymore. She responded by saying, actually, I'm a Bronx girl. You should know that we can eat Queens boys for breakfast. Respectfully. Nice. Look, here's the thing, okay? There are Democrats who want to fight against Donald Trump. And then they're the ones who are too afraid or too complicit or cowards. I don't know what their deal is, right? Maybe they just, oh no, we gotta work with him so that we can appear moderate and centrist, which really is synonymous with being weak. That's what these people are. They are weak. If you are calling yourself a centrist right now, you are saying that, oh man, I cannot tell the difference between a progressive and a fascist. I can't do it. Between people who are fighting for the rights of all people and those who are trying to take rights away from certain people, dehumanizing them. Okay. Now, the problem with the Democratic Party, and there are lots of them, okay, is that they consistently are ignoring their own base. They're ignoring their own voters. That's why they're at 27% approval rating. I mean, it's not because of trans people, okay? It's not because of, oh, now Democrats are too far left. That's what's going on here. They're too far left. They overreach with the socialism. No, that is not it at all. There are 27% approval rating despite all of the damage that Donald Trump has done. And by the way, Trump, guess what? He is also underwater on polling on just about every single issue. You would think that with Trump being underwater on all these things, that the Democrats get a boost, but no, they're not. And it's because of the so-called moderate centrists in the party leadership that refuses to fight against Donald Trump. Look, I've got polling here. This is a Reuters Ipsos poll that was released on Thursday, which found that 62% of self-identified Democrats said that the party should replace Democratic leadership. Replace them. New leaders. Only 24% of voters disagreed with that statement. The Democratic voters are like, yes, get rid of these do-nothing morons. All right? Get rid of these weak, cowardly pieces of crap. Okay? Just get rid of them. Replace them with someone who is actually going to fight. Somebody who's actually going to represent me instead of this trash that we have. Okay? And look, a plurality of respondents at 49% said that they are unsatisfied with the current leaders. Now, when David Hogg attempted to do that, you know what happened? He was kicked out of leadership. He is no longer co-chair of the DNC. Which tells you what? That the party does not want to change. They do not want to fight. And so I got to ask, if their party doesn't want to change, if they don't want to fight, they don't want to represent the people, their own voters, then what good are you? What good are you? If you're not going to fight, then why the hell is anybody going to send you money? Okay? I mean, yes, all the time, every day, getting texts from these do-nothing Democrats. Oh, you gotta send us $5. It's super, super important. We need that money to stand up to Donald Trump. We're desperate. Yeah? Well, what happened to all the money that people had sent you to fight Trump? Oh, right, you didn't use it to fight Trump. More often than not, your money, the money that you send to Democrats, is going to be used to fight against progressives, against AOC, against Zohran Mamdani, and more importantly, against progressive policies that the voters themselves support, a plurality of them. According to polling, 4 out of 5 Democrats want the party to prioritize passing universal health care, Medicare for all, affordable child care. They want them to raise taxes on the rich. Party leadership, however, hates all those things. They hate those policies because they work for the health insurance companies. They work for big corporations who don't want to pay more in taxes. And that's the reality. And so, yes, they hate those policies. They actively have tried to sabotage them. Senator Bernie Sanders, for example, he just, every year, he puts forward a Medicare for All bill, introduced. You know how many co-sponsors he got? 15. 15 out of 47 Democrats. He only got 15 co-sponsors. It's ridiculous. And by the way, Minority Leader Chuck Schumer was not one of them. Oh, no, of course not. These same so-called leaders actually suggested that Democrats should be trying to appeal to Elon Musk. Oh, yeah, no, let's get Elon Musk on board because he's having a falling out with Donald Trump. Elon Musk, the Nazi-adjacent billionaire that everyone hates. Oh, no, we got to invite him to the party. Oh, yeah, no, that'll work great. Yeah. Unfortunately, that's exactly what their plan is. Keep reaching out to court the right wing while ignoring progressives and their voters. Democratic leadership right now would rather cozy up with fascists than ally themselves with progressives. And that is the sad, pathetic truth of it. And understand, Democratic primary voters, you need to get that. Okay? You need to understand that the party leadership only knows how to raise money from billionaires and use it to crush progressive policies that you support, like universal health care. That's what they do. And as long as those same leaders continue to get reelected, as long with all those other people on that list that I gave to you earlier, they will not do anything, take any real action to defeat Trump. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.